Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. Thanks for being with us on the program. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I heard a little rumor from a little birdie outside.
Ooh, you got something interesting.
We might have some extra tickets to give away today, right?
Oh.
And they're good ones. And our lack of not being very organized yesterday is going to get us to the – well, no, it's somebody else. Here's the deal.
Did you just throw somebody under the bus?
No. I'm just saying we didn't – I don't know where it was, but –
You just threw shade at somebody.
No. I'm just saying, like, it just so happened to be like, hey, we were supposed to give these away, but let's do it now, you know? We're going to do it. So it's a Thursday bonus ticket giveaway, and we're going to be doing that next hour. By the way, speaking of hacky, Andre Tourigny joining us next hour. The 4 o'clock Thursday weekly dip in with the head coach of the Utah Mammoth. Always good to get him after a win, although he's fine to talk after losses too, but always good to get him after a win. They needed to get a win at home. The last thing they needed to do was lose to Ottawa last night, and that when Ottawa scored that first goal in the third period or in the first period.
Yeah, it was like, here we go again.
And they were playing with quite a bit of energy, but Veggie came up big all night last night, and they get the win, and we'll talk to Bear next hour about it. But JJ, you good? Everything good?
Yeah, absolutely. We got the college football playoff continuing.
That's tonight, man.
Tonight, semifinal game 1 tonight, game 2 tomorrow. So that's fun. You got the Jazz playing tonight. That's fun.
Yeah.
The Mammoth got a win. That's
Absolutely.
fun.
Tons of fun.
A lot of college football drama continues. We got some big announcements yesterday. Some of them we got in on the show. Some of them happened right after we walked out of the booth.
We're in the parking garage.
We're like, no way.
Come on.
Come on, BYU.
News dump.
We waited all week, Cougars.
What time did JJ and Alex get off? Well, they're off early because of the Jazz game. All right, drop it at 5:05. Boom.
It was a Wednesday news dump by BYU.
But they got it, so we'll chat about that and much, much more on the program today. We've got a lot to get into. You started talking about college football a little bit from this perspective. We didn't get to talk about the promotion of Kelly Poppinga, K-Pop, to the DC role at BYU. Of course, he's staying at home because he was the special teams coordinator, and he's a guy who, of course, has tons of experience coaching, and I think that is a solid move for BYU. They also made some other hires on the defensive side of the ball because he had to replace Gennaro Guilford at that corners spot as well. So lots going on in the world of college football, specifically at BYU, who we're waiting to hear how they're going to round out their coaching changes. Utah finally got their stuff all figured out, and then now BYU, up to them to be able to round out that Kalani staff as they go into their – what is this, their fourth year in the Big 12 now?
It'll be year 4
That's
next year.
That is wild to think of. So We'll get into the program right here. Let's jump in right now. It is The Cut. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, so there you go. Kelly Poppinga getting that defensive coordinator job. Not a shock. Is he ready to be the DC? I mean, I guess we'll find out. What do you get when you get Kelly Poppinga at that defensive coordinator position, JJ? One thing is he's a Kalani guy, right? And that's a big deal. He's already somebody who's on the staff, already somebody who knows the system, already somebody who has, beyond a competitive fire, right? When you think about the Poppinga brothers and what they brought as actual players at BYU, both Brady and Kelly were guys who played during the time that I was, at BYU.
Yeah,
and it was
their older brother played at Utah State.
Right.
They're from Wyoming. I'm aware of them when I was growing up. They're from Evanston. I was from Star Valley. I've kind of followed these guys even before they were.
Yeah.
I've known who the Poppingas are for a long, long time, and so I know what they're about. I know how intense they are and how much they love the game of football. So it's been interesting to watch Kelly Poppinga evolve from the player that we covered back in the late 2006, 7, 8, in that era, and then to see his college football coaching career evolve. He had to leave BYU for a bit to go out and get some experience, which I respect and always love to see, is these guys that are willing to go out and grind and go over it wherever it takes to get the experience they need. And then now to be mentored by both Kalani and also Jay Hill, and everything you've been seeing BYU doing defensively for the last 2 years. Kelly's been in the room. He's been in the meetings. He knows what they're doing. It feels like continuity to me, which is very important. There's no question and no doubt that Kelly deserves the promotion, and I think he's going to do great. Does he have to get his feet wet a little bit? I'm sure. But if you're a BYU fan, you really loved what he did with special teams. But what you really, really loved about Kelly is his recruiting. He's great. And these guys that play on this team love and respect him. And he can go out and get some guys to come and play for this program. And it also helps that BYU has the type of NIL funds and resources that they have. But just from an interpersonal standpoint, if you've ever interacted with Kelly Poppinga, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, so one of the interesting wrinkles in all this was, I mean, this is one of those guys, too. K-Pop was a Bronco, he's under Bronco was his coach.
For him,
And but interestingly, too, when he followed him to Virginia, because they asked him to be that outside linebackers coach at UVA. I mean, that was a massive amount of experience there. And he's the defensive coordinator now at BYU, and you've got your former head coach and like your massive mentor who's head coaching up at Utah State. It's just interesting to see. And by the way, not a bad person to be your mentor from a defensive standpoint when you talk about Bronco Mendenhall. I think everyone's...
you mentioned Bronco, Kalani, Jay Hill.
Yeah.
Those are really good defensive mentors. And he's prepared for this, in my opinion.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Fans are so nervous about what this is going to look like when Jay Hill leaves because that subtraction was as big as a subtraction as you could get off of that staff, and everybody knew that it was likely coming when Kyle Whittingham took that job at Michigan. And the subtraction now of Gennaro Guilford and Jay Hill, I mean, the honest truth is everyone feels like this is going to they're going to take a step back here. How do they patch it together at least for a moment to be able, how do they kind of just stay lockstep with where they've been at? Because this was Jay Hill's baby. This was his defense. It wasn't like oh, we just run what Kalani wants us to run. Kalani's aware of the system. He knows it. But Jay Hill, think about all the times that we chatted with Tanner Wall a couple times on the show last year, and he'd come on and be like, Jay Hill has not just his own way of doing things, and he knows what the system is. These guys all know what this quote-unquote kind of like, system of defense is. He has his own way of doing it. He has things that develop that he has made sure to grow, right? And philosophies have changed a little bit. He said, no, we're always changing the way we approach this thing. And you just hope that, I know that people were wondering if there's going to be somebody who could come in and replace Jay Hill, because replacing Jay Hill, and if there's going to be something that could make this team feel like they could fall off a little bit, it was the subtraction of Jay Hill. And I hope that K-Pop can just keep that thing going. He's got a lot of it. Here's the good news. He's got a lot of his guys coming back. And you can't help but think, hey, Isaiah Glasker saying, I'm staying here and I'm gonna come play. I mean, I don't know if an opportunity was there to go with Jay Hill to Michigan if Isaiah Glasker had that thought. But certainly, if you go, you can get paid, man. But when you saw him run it back, and then you see this, that means that there's a good relationship with a lot of these guys who are sticking around. And when they made the announcement, and then they get the team was on the floor last night at the basketball game with the Pop-Tarts trophy, and you wonder what it's going to be like. And I know that there are nerves there, and I wonder if it's going to be, if you were to really handicap it, does losing Jay Hill lose you a couple extra games next year?
No.
Yeah.
Here's my take on this, because I think it's a valid question. How much of a step back does BYU take because of the departure of Jay Hill and now Kelly Poppinga taking over? I don't think there's going to be much, because now am I going to sit here and make a case that Kelly Papinga is just as good as Jay Hill. No way. He doesn't have that kind of experience.
Doesn't have the
yet.
experience, yeah.
And I don't think K-pop would be listening to us and saying I don't disagree with you. I've got a learning curve here. It's going to be a new position for me. I need to grow into it. Here's why I think the transition is going to go seamlessly, and you mentioned it. It's about the players. And if BYU had like 8 starters leave, I would have concern. And it wouldn't be about Kelly Papinga. It would be about, well, who's coming back? The scheme is going to be, everything's the same. It's just different voice in the room. The players are almost exactly the same. I'm looking down the roster right now. Bodie Schoonover should be back, right? Viliame Boha's back. Keanu Tanavas is back. Anisi Purcell back. You keep going. I think Justin Kirkland's going to be back. I think they're going to try to get a medical red shirt for him. And so that's going to add some depth up front. You keep going. Tausili Akana showed some flashes this year. Hunter Clegg is back. Isaiah Glasker's back. Nusi Tamoipeu's back. Siali Isera's back. Micah Kafusi will probably end up replacing Jack Kelly. Miles Hall's going to be in the mix there as well. Falatel Satuala is back. Raider Damuni back.
You could probably read
Jonathan
between...
Cabella back.
Yeah.
Tommy Prass is back. Evan Johnson back. You get what I'm saying? Trey Alexander back.
You could read between the lines that they believe in this guy. I think they're comfortable with Jay Hill, and I think
so. If you're bringing back
yeah.
almost all the same guys minus Jack Kelly, which don't get me wrong, that's a massive loss.
Yeah.
That's your biggest playmaker. Your best defender is leaving for the NFL and graduates. But listen to all that talent I just mentioned, and there's going to be some other guys that rise up, some guys coming back from missions or some guys that they get in the transfer portal. That's a good list of guys right there. So there's continuity on the roster that's going to allow Kelly Papinga to make that transition. So I don't think that you're going to be able to point to the change at defensive coordinator next year and say, oh, that's why we lost 1 or 2 more games. I don't think that's the case because the talent is almost the same. The guys coming back are the same. If you're a BYU fan, you should be excited about what this defense is going to look like next year. Excited to see who they plug into a couple of those holes they have, but they don't have many holes. And that's going to make life a lot easier for Kelly Papinga in this transition.
Tell me what you think about former SUU head coach DeMario Warren coming. Again, a name that is tied very, very closely to a lot of these guys, including the guy who just left, who he's replacing, Gennaro Guilford, who was, I think, his defensive backs coach when he was at SUU as the defensive coordinator first under Ed Lamb. So I think that all these things coming around, it's an incestuous deal, this coaching world. We know how that works.
It's tight-knit.
But you want guys that you don't have to explain the bones of what I think the system looks like, and I think that's important too. And I think making a hire to replace Gennaro Guilford and Jay Hill, it's not going to be a perfect thing right across the top. But what do you think about DeMario Warren coming back? Obviously, you covered him when he was at SUU between 2016 and 2021 as a head coach. Where is this team now on the defensive side of things as they have promoted now, or as they got Coach Warren to come over and to do this job that Gennaro Guilford was doing so well, by the way?
Great hire, great fit. He understands how to recruit the kids that BYU is trying to recruit. You mentioned his experience at Southern Utah, both as a defensive coordinator and as the head coach. It didn't end the way he wanted to at Southern Utah, but earlier in his tenure, they made the playoffs. They were really good. He helped develop and produce NFL players. They put guys in the NFL at Southern Utah, and DeMario Warren played a huge role in that. Miles Killebrew being one of them. Mm-hmm. So he's a great developer of talent. He's a great recruiter. I've had a chance to interact with him. He's going to be able to do a lot of good there in that position. He's going to be able to recruit, and that secondary should be just fine as well. I think that it took a minute for BYU to kind of figure out what they wanted to do with this, but as soon as I saw the announcement yesterday, I was like, oh, man, that makes really good sense. Oh, wow, they got DeMario Warren from Boise State. Great hire, Kalani. It made sense to me, and all these guys understand BYU, understand the culture, and there's just going to be continuity there. There's nothing to worry about. DeMario Warren, because of his experience previously in this state for over many years, is going to be very comfortable in that spot at BYU. Don't know you can't have found a better replacement for Gennaro Guilford that's going to allow that secondary to keep growing. And he's going to be able to go out and get some guys that are going to be great for them. I think it's a great hire.
One of the names that was added, by the way, from the transfer portal is a 6'6" wideout from Oregon, Kyler Casper.
I saw that.
6'6", 220. I don't know anything about him. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know him from Adam. And frankly, like anybody who transfers in, I'm always like, yeah, I don't. You never know what you're actually going to get with these guys, right?
2 catches, 51 yards. He was a junior from Gilbert, Arizona.
Yeah. Highly recruited out of high school, obviously. If you're going to Oregon, you get a lot of really, really good offers. But
he
that's
has
a big body.
6 career catches for 77 yards.
That's a big body. His dad was Kevin Casper, speaking of former Denver Broncos.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Well, so as things kind of shape out now, and you get all these guys who are coming in, it's really funny to see the guys who, quote-unquote, run it back. Isaiah Glasser coming back is a big deal. Bear Bachmeier, nobody expected anything different than him staying at BYU. By the way, the offensive staff staying the way it is, that's a big deal too. We don't talk anything about the offense right now because nothing was affected by that, but how big of a deal is it to have that whole crew come back as well?
Oh, it's massive. There's no doubt about it. I think you feel pretty good about that. And, what's the question for BYU right now, Alex? What's left? I think there's one guy, right? What's LJ Martin going to do?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Don't you go to the league?
I would.
Don't you go to the league?
If I was LJ Martin, I would. You were the best back in the Big 12. You got some All-American nods. You rushed for
Offensive Player of the
yards.
Year. I mean, next year, if he got the exact same accolades,
But
would it improve his stock necessarily? I don't know.
Let me throw this out there, though. Here's the new reality of college football. With the new deal that Kalani just got, how much money can they offer LJ Martin to stay?
I bet he would actually make more money as a senior football player than he would as a rookie.
Running
rookie contract.
backs in the NFL are not going in the outside of the elite guys are not going in the first and second rounds. Where does LJ Martin go? What's his draft grade right now?
Let me look.
I mean, he's a big, strong dude. He is an NFL back. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But where does he fall? Because if you end up going 4th, 5th round and you walk away from a 7-figure offer at BYU, not saying that he has that. I'm just hypothetically speaking, if LJ got a 7-figure deal or close to it at BYU, aren't you tempted to stay unless you're at least a second-day guy in the NFL draft?
So he is. I think it's almost like you could set your clock by a really solid running back in college football being projected between the 4th and 6th rounds.
Right.
Which is where he is right now. And if you project somebody up to 4th and 6th rounds, yeah, the initial. I mean,
10 years ago, somebody like LJ is gone. In 2026, if you have cash,
if you can get him to stick around for $500,000, that's all you need. Crumble cookies. That's all you got to do. Anybody else out there? Who are all the people?
Nutricost.
Hey, have him be your guy. That's why I trust Nutricost with my. What do they do? With my vitamin D.
Vitamins, supplements.
That's why I'm LJ Martin. Trust Nutricost and Crumble Cookies to get me through the day. Come on, man. If he leaves,
that's a legit point.
If he leaves, they've got a real problem at running back.
And then all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, transfer portal.
Yeah, because then you got to dip in, and the question is and who's going to be gone over the next couple of days? You could always dip in and say, hey, let's get this person over here. I think a lot of folks really liked what they saw with Jovesa Demouni in the bowl game. I thought I was actually when they said before the game, they're like, yeah, we're going to run him a lot. You're going to like him.
A-Rod said good things about him. I see it, but you got to have more than that.
I think we saw
Sione Moa's had some health issues. I
don't know what his status is.
Really worried about that.
Yeah, and Enoch Nawahine didn't blow the doors off of anything when he came in the games this year, right? And so the drop off from an LJ Martin offensive player of the conference, and had a couple of All-American nods and a 1,300-yard season on the ground, and as big and as solid as you can get, on top of the fact that he's consistent as it gets, it's really hard to replace. So they've got their work cut out for them. The good news is they've got the type of resources now that they can land a big name from a big school who's grumpy about their situation. And if some power 4 dude out of the Big Ten who is a running back who felt disrespected at Ohio State, and you don't know who he is, and BYU's able to get him, or there's some dude out of Maryland you're not even familiar with, and then he comes in and comes highly touted, was a great player out of high school, fine. And then call me when they start running the ball well. Call me when they're 5.5 per. And I'm telling you, BYU fans, think about how far removed you are from that moment that you were running for 2.8 yards a game only 3 years ago.
The first year in the Big 12 was a dark time when it came to the run game.
The run game was, to be where they're at now, that type of turnaround, you got to give a ton of credit to what they're doing there at the run game and what they've done.
Coach Woods.
TJ Woods, do not sleep on that guy, and do not forget to thank the Lord for that guy at the end of the day, too. Him and Harvey Unga are a great combo.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? What are they going to do to get better? What are they going to do to improve that running back room? They have to do it regardless, I think. I don't think that RB2 it's too much of a liability as soon as LJ Martin got hurt this year. So even if he does come back, you better shore it up and have it be a couple of guys that you bring in to push those younger guys, whatever it might be. All right? Okay. We'll take a break. There you go. The update we didn't get to give you yesterday after the news broke when we walked out of the studio. Let's see here. We'll take a break. We'll come back. College football playoffs, they start tonight. The semifinals firing up between Ole Miss and Miami. The Misfits. This is the Misfit Bowl right here. The guys who you didn't expect to be in this situation.
Honestly, the start of the season, we'll get into it, but I don't think you expected this.
3 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, right. Neither of those teams is going very far in this thing, and they've both got a couple of playoff wins under their belt this season. We'll preview that and much more. Stay with us right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Got to speak it into existence. My dad always told me. Before Oprah ever told me, my dad told me, you got to speak things into existence. Make it happen.
Oprah.
You heard the breaking news center. Of course, we've got some BYU transfer portal and or NFL draft and or sticking around and or run it back news. JJ's at the BYU and or college football weirdness desk. JJ, what do you have for us? Just moments ago, as we were talking about this very young man, this happened.
Good news, BYU fans. LJ Martin just posted on Instagram, not done yet. LJ Martin will return to BYU for his senior season. LJ Martin is back in 2026.
Well, I just told you, if he did come back, one, he'd probably make more money, which is wild, right? He'd make more money as
just the new reality.
He'd probably make more money as a senior, reigning offensive MVP, league leader in rushing yards, all those things. And, man, that's a sigh of relief for that running back room. But I think I said it before, too. This does not mean don't go out and find running backs for that room. Still have to do it, because that was always a question mark. The fall off was so big. I mean, frankly, the same thing's kind of happening at quarterback, too, where you go, do you have QB2 that you like? As McKay Hillstead entered the transfer portal, right? And you're looking around going, do you have somebody who could come in and be serviceable if Bear Bachmeier goes down? Heaven knows he has a crazy running style. But LJ Martin coming back, massive news for BYU. Get into the transfer portal still, though,
sure,
Kalani, and get those guys.
Now you're not looking for your lead back in the transfer portal. You have that guy. Now you can even think, maybe we just go for a young kid that, who knows what you're looking for. Bottom line is you have a star running back, one of the best running backs in the country, returning to play for you. And if he can match that production, LJ Martin just needs to stay healthy. He will be a 1,000-yard rusher again. And they could have a 1,000-yard rusher in back-to-back years. LJ could go down as one of the great running backs in BYU history, and there's been some great ones. Tyler Algier, Jamal Williams. The list goes on and on and on.
Harvey Unga, his very coach.
Yes.
Right? Lots to be excited about, I think. Frankly, here locally, we said there was part of me, and there still is a little bit of me, that still goes, man, we had it so good covering these teams locally here, and then everything gets kind of blown up and picked apart, and such is the life of college football coaching It can't last forever with all these guys who are so good. If you're an assistant and you're really good, you're going to go either be a head coach somewhere or get paid a lot more money to be a really, really, really good assistant somewhere else, and that blows up what you had going that was nice. But you said it, JJ, perfectly, I think, last segment, which was what matters most is the players. And BYU has added the most important guys to their roster of guys who could have come back.
Yeah.
Right? Jack Kelly going to the league, that's its own thing. And you wish him well, and he's going to be one of those guys that BYU fans are going to remember for a long time. But LJ Martin staying another year is as big a news as a hiring of a DC, the hiring of an offensive coordinator. You know, I know people look around and they go, oh, boy, how are they going to replace this? But replacing LJ Martin was going to be a real tall task. And so BYU fans got to be happy as LJ Martin is officially coming back, running it back. RIB in 2026, baby.
Done deal. Brigham's Brigade on Twitter asked this question. Has Evan Johnson said he's coming back? It's been said over the air twice now, but I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen his official all-in post on social media.
You have to do it now.
He's a junior.
You have to do it now. If you don't do it, if I don't get a run it back,
it's all in or run it back or signed or whatever it is. I haven't seen his official social media post.
He's not in the transfer portal either. So.
He's not in the portal. He's a junior, and I don't think he's at the point now where he's an NFL prospect.
I think he could be
to where he'd want to leave school right now.
He had a great first go this year of us getting to know who this guy is, and he's one of those young defensive backs that deserves the dollars that they're going to be paying him, that deserves the attention. And frankly, if Demario Warren comes in and does his thing as a defensive backs coach, as a corners coach, guys like Evan Johnson, Trey Alexander's another one who you saw his name mentioned more and more, and these guys made it not just like, hey, they had a nice season. They were impactful in wins. They made wins happen. They turned the tides in some of these games. Evan Johnson by himself he turned that whole game around at ECU.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did.
With that pick six at the very end of the first half.
So sorry. Brigham's Brigade, I have not heard it, have not seen the official announcement. I'm glad you brought that up so we could discuss it. I'm making that assumption right now because I'm not sure. Not in the portal, hasn't declared for the draft. But we're still waiting to hear on that, and I imagine that's one of those deals that will get done since they're doing deals these days. I expect them to be back, but we'll let you know when it's official.
All right, college football playoff, the semifinals fire up tonight. I'm excited about this one between Miami and Ole Miss. I can't decide which one I want to win. Actually, I do. I have decided. I want Ole Miss to keep moving on.
Really?
Not because I want Lane Kiffin to keep getting bonuses that he doesn't deserve, because that's what's happening.
Makes me sick.
It's so weird, right? Like, he just keeps getting bonuses.
I can't stand that.
And he's just laughing his way to the bank. LSU's going, gosh dang it, we thought they wouldn't win a game. They keep having to pay out those bonuses that were guaranteed in his contract to Ole Miss. And Ole Miss was like, I guarantee there's no way that they're not making LSU pay that. They better be. If Ole Miss is having to pay out Lane Kiffin, gosh dang, you son of a gun, they're writing the check.
No.
Get out of here, kid. Get out of here. Send this check off. You draw a middle finger on the back of the check to Lane Kiffin.
Especially after him holding his coaches back from being able to participate in this game.
I know.
Which is just awful.
It's super weird. And so, I know, and if he's able to cash in on a win, I like Trinidad Chambliss a lot.
Great story.
I think Miami's defense, like, this is one of those tales of, hey, when the U finds athletes, it's pretty hard to beat Miami still on the recruiting front. Miami still pulls so much weight in the state of Florida.
They're in a hotbed in Florida, and they've got that history. They got the swagger. They got the brand. It's not hard to recruit to Miami. It's not hard to get it right at Miami. They've had so many that have not been able to do it. And I was worried about Cristobal for a while.
I don't like Cristobal that much, but you got to give it to him, man. This is his alma mater. He's turned it around. He's got all these guys coming in. They're buying into the toughness talk and all that. So I like the idea of – I like Miami. It's not the same Miami that I used to hate when I was a kid that we all hated for, just personal foul after personal foul after unsportsmanlike conduct after unsportsmanlike conduct. the crazy stories out of the U that they were living. They were doing 2026 back when it was 1990. When it was 1991, man.
How do you think they built those teams down there?
Coral Gables was.
You think they did that all in the up and up?
They're wilding it out.
Dennis Erickson got in big trouble down there, if I remember right.
Fill in the blank. I mean, Jimmy Johnson was like, "I'll go to the NFL now." Like, he's a good. He pulled the Jim Harbaugh before it was cool, man. He's like, "I'm gonna get out of here." So Miami, cool story, I guess, because they've beaten the teams that they've beaten along the way. To win at Texas A&M, and while that game was ugly, you can't deny that Miami's not got it. They got a great defense. They out-defensed the best defense in the whole country last time they were out.
Yep.
And Ole Miss is a flyer of a team. They just went toe-to-toe, and it was a massive shootout with them in Georgia. So do you get a shootout-type game? If you do, I don't think Miami wins that game. I don't think Carson Beck and the offense at Miami is the type that would put up 38 to 41 points if they got into that type of a situation. But if you're Miami, I don't think you need to when you have the defense that you do. Ole Miss is going to have to come out and do the slugfest thing because – and when I say slugfest, I'm talking about the rock fight type scores, right? Yeah. If they score 20 points, I think they'll be lucky. But Miami and Ole Miss, your thoughts on this one? Miami's favored in this one by 3.5, according to Vegas odds makers.
Yeah, so I love the Ole Miss story, and I love that the last team standing from the SEC is Ole Miss because it's so nice and refreshing to have Alabama and Georgia and the other powerhouses and the traditional powerhouses in the SEC sitting out watching this. It's good for college football, in my opinion, because it's always felt like every year it's Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah, right.
Right? Not this year. And I love how fresh and new things feel. Having Indiana and Oregon on the other side of the bracket, Ole Miss and Miami, even though Miami has a long tradition, you can consider them a blue blood. It feels fresh and new this year. It feels like a new era of college football. Look back last year, the first year of the 12-team playoff. There was a team that got hot. A team that got hot in the playoffs and made it all the way to the national championship game. And it was Notre Dame. Nobody expected Notre Dame to get to the national championship game, and they did. They went through some really good teams. They beat Georgia. If I remember right, they beat Penn State to get to that national championship game. And Miami feels like that team this year. I feel like they've got the momentum, the confidence. Winning on the road at Texas A&M in that rock fight of a game, I think they really developed some character and belief in that game. And then you saw it come to fruition in the way they just absolutely handled the defending national champions. I think Miami is a team of destiny. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but I think they're going to be playing in that national championship game. They're going to win this game tonight. Ole Miss is a great story. I love Trinidad Chambliss. So all this garbage we're talking about with the transfer portal and everything, he's what's right about the transfer portal. He's what's right about this new world of college football where somebody can go work their butt off and develop and get better and then find a way to land in a spot like this, to be able to play for a national championship at the Power 4 level, at the biggest level of college football, coming from Ferris State. That's awesome. And I kind of pull for him, and it would be fun to see this Ole Miss staff try to pull it together, but all the distractions and having some of these guys that were on the coaching staff not able to be a part of this game and everything going on there just feels like too much for me to pick Ole Miss and see them overcome all that while Miami is so hot right now. So I think the Hurricanes win tonight, and I think they win by 10.
We'll do this tomorrow, though. So what's your national championship matchup between these two semifinal games? So Miami on the one side.
I'm struggling because we've already seen this before with Indiana going to Autzen and beating Oregon. And Indiana made Alabama look like Tulane. Right? At 38-3? And it could have been worse. They could have put 50 on them. They could have, and I wish they would have. They backed off at the end. They could have put 50 on them. They absolutely embarrassed Alabama. It's hard to see Oregon playing the way they are right now, but what Oregon did to Texas Tech was equally as impressive. Texas Tech couldn't do anything offensively against them. So I'm having a hard time picking it because Indiana's already beat Oregon at Autzen. I think Indiana's the better team, but Have we not been paying enough attention to what Oregon's done since? Perhaps Oregon is sneakily, quietly been the best team in the country. What they did at Texas Tech certainly shows that that's a possibility. But I'm still going to go with Indiana, not only to get the win over Oregon, but to win the national championship.
I think Indiana, it's hard to bet against them right now. Like, until proven otherwise, like, they're just beating everybody. You know? I mean, until otherwise proven.
Yeah.
Oregon has been a question mark a couple of times this year, obviously losing to Indiana at home.
Iowa game was ew.
Yeah, it was nasty. And they had a couple of close wins this year. The overtime game against Penn State looks bad right now, you know. But at the same time, Dan Lanning always has some crazy stuff up his sleeve, man.
Hey, Indiana needed a miracle catch in the end zone to beat Penn State.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So-
same thing. They went to State College, they had to do the same thing.
But what Indiana's done to be undefeated, number one, in the Big Ten, and to win that championship, to beat Ohio State, and to run the gauntlet that they have is impressive. I know that their non-conference schedule is garbage, but that's just a really impressive team with the Heisman Trophy winner. They have the best player in the country, and they have a lot of confidence, and they got a coach that's figured something out that everyone else is trying to figure out.
I agree with you, though. I think it's going to be Indiana and Miami. I would love to see Ole Miss win because I think that would be just more of a weird wrinkle on a year where you go, I don't expect any of these teams to get here. If that was the SEC team that you thought would get there by the end, in a season where Alabama can't score at all, wild, right?
Right.
Ty Simpson, we know we're the best offense in the country. In their last 2 games, they scored the last 3 games, I think they combined for 3 touchdowns or something like that in 3 games. And
Frauds.
they were. And Ty Simpson goes, I'm going to the NFL draft. The NFL's all, wait, whoa, oh, sorry. Will you send us a resume? Just so we can. I love the attitude, kid. Will you send us a resume just so we know what you've done?
And you are.
Yeah, just let me know who you are again, just so I can understand. Man, Kalen DeBoer's got a real problem there in Alabama. You never want to be the guy after the guy. You want to be the next guy after the guy. Because whoever's going to come in is going to be looked at like, oh, he could save the program.
Who won the big Powerball jackpot?
I'll tell you exactly what I'd do with the first $70 million. I'd pay off Kalen DeBoer and get him the heck out of the University of Alabama, and then I'd take whatever else it took to get rid of the AD, old Byrne. I don't like him either. So they're ruining our football program.
So not a car for your husband then? Sorry, you didn't want to pay off any debts first? Tell you what I'd do. I'd take the first $70 million.
$70 million of your lottery wins to buy out Kalen DeBoer.
Did you see, by the way?
What world do we live in?
I don't know where it was. It was definitely in the South. It might have been Missouri. Whoever won the Powerball last week,
Yeah.
$1.8 billion.
Yeah.
Did you see what they took home, though, after taxes and taking the chunk payoff?
What was the take home?
$485 million out of the $1.8 billion that they won.
So wait, you win the lottery and then they tax the heck out of your
Well, no,
lottery
they tax
winnings?
it for sure. Like you're gonna get like you get taxed
I
big
get
time.
that, but it's
then
a joke.
they also penalize you for taking it all up front. If you were gonna do the
What a racket.
if you're gonna do the oh really?
So the government,
of course it is.
The government sells you lottery tickets, and these poor people are funneling all their money into the lottery
Right.
that goes to the state, and then they announce a lottery winner, and then the state takes half of it back.
I would be.
What a racket.
Listen, if I won the Powerball, I would want to fly in and be the new Cody Campbell, but just like like the poor man's version, like the new rich man poor man's version of Cody Campbell. Come in with your like some pajama pants at a news conference. I'm whatever it takes. We've committed to bring whoever we need in here.
So did you make your money in oil or tech? Nah. I made my money in speculate.
I guess it was tech because I had the computer pick the numbers. Yeah. There you go. All right, we'll take a break.
You could say I like to take chances.
Get old Burn out of here. We'll come back. We got a Would You Rather around the corner. Top of the hour, we've got head coach Andre Tourigny going to join us, Utah Mammoth head coach. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to have Andre Tourigny, head coach of the Utah Mammoth, joining us on the program. Would you rather get punched in the face by an enforcer in the NHL or a quote-unquote tough guy in the NBA? Are there tough guys anymore?
Oh, in the NBA. That's not going to hurt. And I will probably flop before the punch lands.
Oh, yeah. These guys they've lost all their teeth, and they're willing to lose more of the fake ones.
There's proof of performance in the NHL that those guys actually land their punches. No thanks. I'll take a punch in the NBA. Thank you very much.
I still think Draymond Green could deliver a
I'm sure he
nice
could.
haymaker. We've seen it on film.
Yes.
Right?
There's evidence of that, but not in an NBA game. He did that in practice. He thought he did that behind closed doors.
How about a Carl elbow?
Oh, that's different.
Or a sock to the face.
It's
by
not
Liam
1991 anymore. So those days in the NBA are long gone. I feel pretty safe taking a punch in today's NBA.
All right, let's get out early. We'll take a break here. We're anticipating a phone call quickly here from Andre Tourigny, head coach of the Utah Mammoth. Right around the corner as the Mammoth beat the Ottawa Senators last night 3-1 here at Delta Center. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the show, everybody. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen, our producers Alex Napolis, of course, every day. And we're anticipating a phone call in just momentarily from the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, Andre Tourigny. Can't wait to have a conversation with Coach about nice start to the 7-game home stand that they're going to have. They're going to have 10 out of the next 14 games at home. Man, they needed that one last night.
Had to have it.
I will tell you, though, one of my favorite things to do, and I've done this with the Canadian teams mostly, because I don't think any market loves. I mean, that's not true. You got Boston Bruins fans and you got your Chicago Blackhawks
Red Wings,
fans.
Detroit fans.
Yes,
are crazy.
the original 6 fan bases. They're really really good fan bases, but they have other teams they could also watch.
Right.
What are you watching in Ottawa?
Nothing but hockey.
So you've got a ton of hockey. Again, the lower leagues right below that, they're phenomenal, and they watch those just as,
They follow junior hockey like it's big-time
Huge.
college football here in the United States.
Right, because these guys are going to end
They're
up
the
being
future.
yes, they're the NHL players. And I love going and reading the opposing cities' thoughts on their team's performance. And I opened up the Ottawa Citizen today. I subscribe. Okay? Just in case you were wondering, my wife saw, why do we have a $4.99 a month? Is this a Canadian dollars that we're getting charged?
This is expensive paper.
I started reading this article in the Ottawa Citizen, and the headline is, Senators again pointless after effort in a 3-1 loss to Mammoth. I know that they didn't win. I know they didn't get any points, and that's what they're talking about. Another pointless effort makes it sound like it's even worse than it was. That it's not just pointless, that's pointless.
Well, that game was pointless.
Yeah, why'd we even show up? Team sucks, man. And they also had a guy who was breaking it all down who covers them and was here in Utah and was just like, yeah, it's great. Karel Vejmelka had a massive game for Utah. That was good. But our guys don't have any fight in them. And this was a team, according to them, again, other markets go, why are you losing to the Mammoth in Salt Lake City? And it's like, well, I mean, you're in dead last in your division in the East, by the way. And I know that they have as many wins as Utah did last on the season until last night. But that's, to me, the more interesting thing is when you see that the parity in the Western Conference, like the Eastern Conference is getting you, it doesn't give you a real snapshot of the talent, I think, of the teams compared to what you're getting in the West.
Right.
And the effort last night by Veggie was massive. That was the biggest one. 33 stops. Ottawa was shooting like crazy, by the way. This could have gone very poorly for the Mammoth last night.
Well, as soon as Ottawa got that goal, I was like, here we go again.
Well, and the defending was not happening. Right. There were a lot of bad penalties that they gave up. There were a ton of penalties. Both sides, by the way, had guys in the penalty box, it seemed like every other minute. And so to have the the stretch that they did, they needed that second period, the scoreless second period that Veggie gave them, because they were doubled up on shots in the second period by Ottawa. And they've had an issue with that, by the way. They're not showing up with nearly as many shots as a lot of these other teams are. So it's been an interesting thing to watch. But again, the usual suspects that the ones you're expecting to put the puck in the back of the net, Dylan Guenther has been kind of absent a little bit in the last few games
Since the hat trick.
Well, that's true. Since the hat trick, penalties last night, but you're not getting you're just not seeing the lamp lit by the usual suspects, which is great for guys like we mentioned Michael Carcone yesterday. Sean Dursey was showing up and scoring. Last night you had, Lawson Krause, and you have guys scoring goals that you're going, all right, that's awesome. They're showing up and they're doing it. But you also want your big names to be the ones. And I know Daniil Boot is one of these guys that I'm looking forward to what this guy can do. Because his goal last night was, I'm rooting for that kid, man. He's 19.
Yeah, his teammates call him Cheeks.
That's not really what the teens. That's what we call a nice compliment. They do. They call him that.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
Jeez,
you're shocked by this,
Coach?
You're shocked an NHL locker room would come up with that?
Now listen, Coach Tourigny might correct us, but do you notice too that Coach has his nicknames for everybody is just the total Coach nickname? Everybody has
he
a
just
Y
adds
at the end.
on the end of it.
or Booter.
Gunner.
Kel's this good guy. It's everybody, you add a Y or an ER to guys, and that's their nickname. That's their nickname.
It's a pretty easy way to go about doing it, especially in a second language.
I'm not going to ask Coach if he calls them Cheeks.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Coach Cheeks had a good game last night. Your thoughts? But they like this kid. They like this kid a lot, and he does. And maybe he would comment and go, I don't know who Cheeks is. But Booter had a good game.
That's why one of us has to ask the question.
We should rock, paper, scissors for who has to ask it. You ready?
I'm fine with doing it.
Okay.
I'm not a coward.
Okay.
I'm not a coward. I'll do it.
Okay. Oh my goodness! So it was a nice win last night. It was great way to get started, and this team needed it. They needed the showing up of not just these other guys to get it done, but also the win at home to start it off. I mean, they've got to go in these 10 games out of the next 14 they play at home. They got to win 7 of them, and then they got to win 1 or 2 on the road. And if you're going to do that, great start last night. Ottawa's a team that you needed to kind of get. It wasn't the slump-busting team, but certainly they got an important win last night against the Senators.
Yeah, they did. We talked about it coming in. It was great to end that trip with the win against the Rangers in overtime, the way it went down. The Mammoth have never lost in the state of New York. Finished that trip 2-1. The Jersey game, that was disappointing. But to bounce back and have an effort like that and to gut out a win like that against a really good team in the East was a nice way to end that trip and kind of vault them and get some momentum going. Coming into the 7-game homestand, which I felt was crucial. We talked about how important it is for the Utah Mammoth to start stacking up some points at this point in the season because they're road weary. They've had a really tough stretch. We get it, but you can't make the Stanley Cup playoffs winning a game and losing a game, winning a game and losing a game. You got to get on a run. You got to go on a run. You got to get a hot stretch going, and this feels like it could be that. Two straight wins now, I think for the first time since early December, that they've been able to put together a couple back-to-back wins and a chance now to get a streak going and build on that. So I like what we saw from the Mammoth last night, a good response. They could have had the letdown first night back from the trip. They did not. Jumping out to the 2-1 lead and then finishing it off in the third period as they should at home was exactly what they needed, and now they can build on that moving forward because it's time now for this Utah Mammoth team to start stacking some W's, get 2 points every night out for a while here, and climb in the standings because we've seen this team play at a level that is top 10 in the league. They need to start doing it consistently, and hopefully this is the start of that.
Do you think that starting it off with the win, that's great and everything, but where do you think that this team needs to improve at home in the next stretch here? Because I just don't see them playing phenomenal defense. I think the blue line's got to get shored up. They've got to do so much better. They're giving up so many shots. And like I said, so many of those, you're not – I don't know if you're going to get 33 saves out of Edgy every night, but what a night for him. Phenomenal way to do it. You love to see it. Joining us on the program right now is the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, Andre Tourigny. Let's get right to him.
Your exclusive radio home of the Utah Mammoth is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Now it's time to hear from the head coach of the Mammoth, Andre Tourigny.
Bear on the program, of course, like he is every week with us on the show. Coach, nice win last night. Way to get the it must feel good to get the homestand started off with that W against Ottawa. What did you like out of your team last night?
I like a lot of stuff, but what I like the most is when push comes to shove in the third period, when the chip were down, I think the guys really buckle up and play a really solid defense. We had the intensity, the focus mentally. I really like the way we played in those situations.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that game in Madison Square Garden the other night because I felt like that was a really good effort by you guys, and there was so much guts in that game, and you guys pulled that one out.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to get that win to cap off that trip before this long 7-game homestand?
I think you got it right. I think that was a key. You know, we came back from a Christmas break and we played really good against Nashville at home, but we didn't find a way to win. So that was a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. And then we go on that trip, played a good game against the Island where we found a way and we regrouped during the game and win the game. And then we lost that game in Jersey. So that was all the difference in the world. You win that game, then you win the road trip. You come back from that road trip with 2-1, and now you're at home for a little while. So that was really important. So I really like the fact at MSG we were down after 2. The guys really came out. We were playing well. We're playing really well, actually. And we needed to find a way to score the big goal. And we did in the third. And we had several chances. And we had a big kill at the end of the game as well to give us a chance to go in the overtime and to win in overtime. So I think that gave us momentum. It was a will win kind of. We will our way to that win. So was proud of the guys on that, no doubt.
Coach, the gritty is a way to put it. Every night, if you're playing in the NHL, you got to be gritty. Even in losses, teams are gritty.
Yep.
But this team kind of exhibits that on a nightly basis, just the fight that's in there. Yep. Just even that third goal that you talked about, I was like, oh, well, this is going to get covered up. And just the fight to stay with it that Daniil Boot had to have his second score of the season. I love that type of effort. And that's a guy I know you've talked a lot about, and you believe a lot in number 19. Tell us what he's been bringing over the past few weeks here. He's 17 games into his NHL career, second goal of his career last night, and it was a nice one, and it was needed too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a key goal. But the thing I will say about Booter, what I really like lately is he got hit hard in a few games in a row. Last night he got hit hard by Clevin in the corner, and he plays hard, so he got hit, and that did not change his game at all. And the reverse, and the same in New York, he went to the net a couple of times, and he got in not a fight, but a little scrum, and that did not faze him at all. The next shift, he kept going at the net and kept driving the net hard. So you saw the same thing a little bit yesterday, where after he got hit, that did not change his game one bit, and he scored that goal, that gritty goal around the net where he dig in. So that's cool to see the fight in him like that. He's a good player, like I often say. He has a good IQ. He does a lot of good things on the ice. He knows the positioning. He understands the game. He wants to do good. He's coachable. So there's a lot of good in it. And obviously, his size and skill are obvious, but I think the kid, the person, he's great as well. It's fun to work with, and he had that edge and that grit. So that's really, really, really good to have him on our side.
I know nicknames are a big deal in an NHL locker room. I heard you called Daniil Booter. I know his teammates call him Cheeks. Which nickname is better, Coach?
Oh, Cheeks is a legend. That's best. That's best. I think that's great. I like it. But, I think we have a great locker room, and the boys, they love each other, and you can feel the camaraderie between the boys. So I I think having a teammate like that, I think it's good for young players. They feel they're a part of it early. They feel they belong. So that's really cool.
Being Russian, did someone have to explain to him what that meant?
Well, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure he figured it out quick. If so, somebody explained him for sure. But I'm pretty sure you knew.
Coach, coming home, obviously the expectation in the NHL is you got to win more at home than you, and then you go out on the road and splitting those games is kind of the goal. And being at home has not been something you guys have been able to do a lot of so far this year. How nice is it going to be 10 out of the next 14 before the Olympic break to get those games at home and under your belt? And how crucial are those? And how big of a deal is it to have your crowd on your side at those home games?
Oh, I think that having the crowd on our side is a big deal. I say one thing. I thought we had to win every game. I didn't know we had a mulligan on the road. I'm joking, but they're all important. You know, if you want to. If you want to achieve your goal, you need to win on a consistent basis. And the momentum in the NHL is real. Something is real. So you need to take advantage of your sequence. You're playing good as a team. And I think right now we're playing good. We have an opportunity to be back home in front of our fans. Would that give us an extra boost every night? So I think there's an opportunity there, but we need to stay focused, stay even keel. We won 2 games in a row. It's not like it's something we can get ahead of ourselves with that. We're happy. We're playing good. But tomorrow it's another big game. It's a division game. St. Louis is a tough opponent. They play stingy defense, so that will be important for us to play with a lot of pace offensively like we did yesterday, and be as well really hard defensively. So there's a lot of hockey to be played. Well, we're playing good right now, and we're really happy to be on.
You know, the best teams in any sport are player-led teams, and, you know, a coach can go out there and you get fiery and do his thing in his speeches, but it means more when it comes from a player. And after that Jersey game, which was disappointing, Shehan Jeyarajah got in front of the media and talked about the inconsistency and how it needed to change, and he made some comments that I think were bold, and I think you saw a difference in the team in that game against the Rangers, but specifically you saw a difference in Shehan Jeyarajah. Not only did he get up in front of a mic and talk the talk, but he walked the walk on the ice in the next game. How important is that for you to have a guy like Shehan Jeyarajah step up in a moment like that that's crucial and show leadership like that?
I always say the best coaching is coming from the player all the time. I think that is where you get the commitment. You know, you always talk about culture. Coach arrives somewhere, he wants to establish a culture. When do you know you have a right culture? And when it's the player who protect and set the standard. When the player said, hey, that's how we do it here, nobody can go against that. The coach, the coach, you can preach, that's fine. But when the player take charge, take ownership, and they set the standard, now you're heading somewhere. So it can be from Durs, or it can be from Sergei or Coldy or Kels and all those guys. I think that is where it carries a lot of weight, way more weight than anybody else outside the trenches. I think the general can say whatever he wants, but when you're in the trenches and the bullets are flying everywhere, the guys you need to trust is the guys beside you. He's the guy who's in the trenches with you. So you need to, those are the guys you need to rely on when the tough time happens.
Veggie so far this year, 25th in save percentage in the league, and that's a guy who doesn't like that type of a number being in that sub-90 spot, but he's playing his best hockey right now that we've seen out of him all year. What has changed in the past couple of weeks for Veggie?
Well, there's a few things. I think, in our team, we don't give a lot of shots. Last night we gave above 30, but it's not every night. So the margin of error for our goalie is not super high. We're one of the team who blocked shots in the league and stuff like that. So for the goalie, the numbers doesn't mean everything. I think for me, what's important is, does the goalie give you a chance to win? Does he give, when the game is on the line, when you need the save, when you need the big PK, when you talk about MSG, we took a penalty at the end of the game. Now it's 2-2, and but you need to make a few saves, and he did make those saves. So whatever the number says after the game, at key moments, you could rely on him. He was there for the team. He was there for you, and those are the saves who are the most important. So I think he's been good. I think he's even better lately.
Wanted to get your reaction to the news that we received yesterday that the 2027 Winter Classic is coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium here in Salt Lake City. What impact does it have for a franchise, especially a young franchise like the Mammoth, to host an event of this magnitude?
I think it's huge because it gives credibility. It showed the league think highly of your program, of your ownership, of the state of Utah, and they believe in us, putting us a great show who will showcase the league. So it's a commitment from the league, and it's a belief from the league of Utah is the right place to do that kind of a show. So I think it means a lot to me.
The outdoor game is kind of interesting. I know that the players will say, "Oh, it's awesome, it's great," and it is an awesome promotional piece. But like from a coaching standpoint and from like the being outside, is that like, oh man, this goes back to feeling like when we were kids again, and just that vibe, or is it one of those things you're like, all right, we just have to do this thing. We have to do the outdoor game. All right, just get ready for it. I know the ice isn't going to be perfect.
No.
Or how much of it, like, do these players love doing this type of thing?
I think it's 82 games during the season, and now we'll have 81 of those games and one Winter Classic, one outdoor game. I think it's a unique experience. I think it's great. It reminds us good souvenir, and it give us the opportunity to be a part of something really, really special with our organization, with our fans, with our teammates. So I see that as an unbelievable opportunity. I think I know a lot of guys or player or coach who have been in those, and they have way more souvenir than any other game has been played on the January 4th of 2019 or whatever it is. So I think it will be awesome.
Bear Tourigny, head coach of the Utah Mammoth, nice enough to join us as he is every week, and it's just been really fun to kind of keep up to date with you, Coach, and wish you the best of luck here as you guys get going. You're staying at home for the next 6, and then you'll hit the road for another 4, and then you'll come back again for another 3 games before the Olympic break. Yep. It's tomorrow you're taking on the Blues, and then you have the Blue Jackets on Sunday. So we're looking forward to it. Good luck, and thanks for being with us, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
for
Coach.
having me.
Coach Bear Tourigny. He calls him Cheeks, too. Oh, you know what? In honor of Coach Bear Tourigny coming on the program, I've got a family 4-pack of tickets to give away.
Boom, let's do it.
4 tickets to when are we going to see this game? Tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow night. So you know what?
It's a big game.
Clear the calendar. We've got some tickets to the Blues and the Mammoth at Delta Center tomorrow. All you have to do is give us a call right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. Get yourself a 4-pack of tickets to see the Mammoth take on the Blues tomorrow at Delta Center. Nice to see Coach in this space, although he doesn't you don't get a grumpy. Well, no, you do. You get a grumpy Bear, but we get the nice version of Bear all the time, like the media version. I mean, I like it.
He's always very good to us, but extra energy today. You could tell that there's a good vibe right now with that group.
Well, there's a corner that needs to be turned still, and I feel like that there's a feeling like they could be in that apex and they could be really putting the foot to the ground maybe at this point. If not, you spin off the road again and have to get started up, and you find yourself way behind the 8 ball. And it's just is not a time to do it. This time of year is just, I mean, everybody is fighting. Right?
They've got to go on a big run in the month of January.
The NHL is almost as good as the NBA or the NFL when it comes to parity. And so
just look at the East, Alex. Have you seen the standings?
Yeah, it's crazy. They're on top of each other, and it's like, oh yeah, we're in last place. We have 45 points. And
the Columbus Blue Jackets have 43 points, and let me see. I got it right now.
Ottawa's got 43 also. Those are
the Pittsburgh Penguins are the last wild card team right now at 49. So the last place team in the East is still very much alive for a wild card spot on January 8th. Yeah, crazy. There's not a big gap between the wild card and the bottom of the standings there. It's a little different in the West. Vancouver and Winnipeg are done. The Jets have lost 10 in a row, and they only have 35 points. What happened to that outfit? Speaking of cheeks, the Jets are cheeks.
Yeah, they are. You could put that in any
buns.
You could put that in any sport, by the way. Just it goes for anybody who's a Jet.
Anybody that's a Jet.
If you're a Jet,
is usually in last place.
Yeah, you're not going to be good right now.
All Jets teams are buns.
My goodness. All right, we'll take a break. We got to come back. And when we do, we've got ourselves around the corner. Shehan Jeyarajah is going to join us, CBS Sports. Covers, of course, college football and is heavily involved, of course, in the Big 12, covering the Big 12. Does such a good job. We're going to have Shehan's reaction to some of the offseason developments, the additions and subtractions of coaches, especially here locally, but also the effect of the NIL stuff and the transfer portal and what we're seeing here. We announced it earlier in the show, but LJ Martin made it known that he is coming back. He's going to play another season at BYU. He's running it back. Everybody is, it seems like. If they're eligible, they're running it back at
all
BYU.
In.
It's nice to be able to get paid, too.
That's why they're
Honestly,
all in.
Yeah, they're all in. They literally pushed all the chips into the middle. We'll come back. We've got more to go. Shehan's going to join us next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen, thanks for being with us on the show. You can always download the podcast wherever podcasts are found all day long, every show, every segment broken down. You just subscribe to each show in your podcast feed, and boom, there you go. KSLSports.com. Of course, is where you can also find it and take a listen and stream listening to it, but you can also watch it on the KSL Sports YouTube channel as well. Joining us on the program right now, Shehan Jeyarajah. He covers college football for CBS Sports, does a phenomenal job, and, of course, does so much covering the Big 12 among so many other things. Shehan, thanks for being on the program, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get away from the local stories that we want to talk about so much real quick and just get your thoughts on this whole Desmond Williams thing and maybe the latest of what has become Demond Williams, excuse me, what has become such a weird story across the board in college football. And, you know, in a day where we just go, well, I don't know, it's the Wild West, this one seems like it might be a really big problem for college football.
Well, this is kind of the first moment that we get to figure out whether, I guess you could say, any of this is real, right? Because in the case of Demond Williams, the other quarterback who very explicitly signed a revenue-sharing contract with his existing school at Washington, and less than a week later is going back on it and saying that he's going to, transfer likely to LSU. This is unprecedented, especially in the revenue-sharing era. And what we're about to figure out is whether these contracts are binding. Now, there's a couple things to know about this, right? First is the contracts and the revenue share and all this sort of stuff is set out in the House v. NCAA agreement. And so a lot of legal folks on the NCAA side are a little more optimistic that this will pass muster because, basically when the House case was decided, from a legal perspective, there's like a legal injunction that makes this enforceable. But we've never actually seen one of these contracts attempted to be enforced, especially when it comes to being binding and not being able to get out of it to go to another school. So this is truly unprecedented at this point. Now, let's be clear about this. What Washington is going to try to do is not going to be trying to, let's say, get him back to be their starting quarterback. Like that, obviously, at this point is not a realistic or palatable situation for a number of reasons, but they are going to try to make this more complicated for him to either be able to transfer to LSU or potentially, impact his ability to either play or earn money at LSU. And the other piece of it, too, is, the other thing that could come out of it could be something like damages. There isn't apparently an explicit buyout set in the contract. I'm curious how that ends up being enforced by the courts. That's something that actually, this contract is considered a standard revenue-sharing one by the Big Ten. And so I expect this to turn into a big case and potentially have some long-term implications.
There was another story that came out, I believe, yesterday or the day before that about that LSU had offered it was Sorsby.
Oh yeah, Brian Sorsby,
the $3.5 million NIL that hadn't gone through the clearinghouse, and of course you got the situation with Ole Miss, where their coaches are going to be able to coach in this game or not. Why is it all these three stories have Lane Kiffin involved? My goodness, come on, Lane.
Well, no, I mean it is very much explicitly because LSU and Lane Kiffin are the most don't give a darn program right now in college football, right? Like that's where we're at right now. Is that that there are programs that, especially in this new era, because let's take a step back, right? 1 year ago, the House of the NCAA case. Well, I mean 6 months ago actually, but 1 year ago in football season parlance, the House case went into effect. This is the first offseason that we've ever had that technically is supposed to be under a salary cap. We can obviously quibble about whether it will be enforced or not, but that's the legal standing, at least, of this moment. And so we're legitimately having teams try to figure out how to work around this. Now, what's interesting about the contract that was leaked to Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo, who obviously is one of the best, one of the best writers in the sport and reporters, is that from what the contract seemed to say, it was that more than $3 million was supposed to essentially go through their multimedia rights partner, Playfly Sports. Now, look, I mean, obviously we'll kind of have to wait and see, how legitimate and how well these things are able to pass muster when they are put under review by the College Sports Commission. But, that is certainly an unusual way and I guess sort of an inside look on how this sort of thing might work. Because, again, whether Learfield or Playfly or all this sort of stuff, there are many examples of these multimedia rights and licensing companies that work with college programs right now. So it's going to be fascinating to see, is that something that's considered separate? Is that something that's considered legitimate? And is that something, again, that will pass muster when it's put under review? And then, by the way, you throw on top of all of this, right, the idea that, will the College Sports Commission's reviews even be upheld under legal standards? So a lot of stuff going on, and everybody is kind of taking a different approach on this, right? You have some programs that are trying to be conservative and saying, let's not get ourselves into trouble. You have other ones like Lane Kiffin and LSU saying, let's go ahead and jump right in and dare them to stop us.
Shehan, one of the things, of course, here locally that we've been hyper-focused on, we've just been there's been a lot of really, really good coaches in this state, and when you're doing a really, really good job coaching, you're going to be sought out to coach somewhere else. In the Kyle Whittingham case, of course, you saw how he would step down as the coach, and then suddenly he's now the coach of Michigan, and then that domino effect happened to be a lot of staff leaving both BYU and Utah, and just kind of that ripple effect that happens, it seemed to hit, of course, here in the state biggest. What do you think the big impact is going to overall be now that both staffs have sort of solidified themselves? Everybody's got everybody back to normal, and they have their defensive coordinators, they have their position coaches. Where do BYU and Utah sit as to how you see that they put everybody together? What do you kind of grade them as getting those new coaches replaced?
Yeah, I'll start on the BYU side. I mean, look, losing Jay Hill, I think, was really unfortunate. I think that, all of this for this state of Utah obviously was pretty unfortunate, just the timing and how it all happened. But, I think that they made a really good hire promoting internally. I think that they have a system that they feel really good about. They have a roster, too, that still should be in good shape. So, for them, I honestly feel like it's going to be mostly business as usual. Will you feel the difference with, maybe certain calls or certain situations that Jay Hill was a master at? Yeah, I think you definitely will. I think there'll be moments where this defense, has some growing pains from a play caller perspective. But I think that overall, there's not a whole lot of reason to worry. I'm a little more curious on the Utah side because obviously, it's going from an offense that was very much sort of, I guess you call it power option spread based with Jason Beck and how much it kind of leaned into their big physical identity to now first you lose the offensive play caller and Jason Beck. Of course, you also have to deal with the loss of basically the entire offensive line to graduation in the NFL. That was already going to be a difficult situation to deal with. And then, again, it's going to be a very different looking offense under the new offensive coordinator who comes in, with a lot of different principles. He spent time, I know, at San Jose State. So he spent time at Hawaii, kind of comes from that run and shoot tree, which is, again, quite a departure from what they were doing, not just under Jason Beck, but under the previous offensive staff as well. So I think that that's going to be a little bit more of a transition process. The other thing, too, that I think sort of comes into play is, all right, well, certainly, offensive coordinators, adjust to fit their talent. But at the same time, it's like, well, how does the existing quarterback necessarily work under that, right? Like he was brought in to do something very specific, and all of a sudden it's going to look potentially a lot different. I'll be very curious to kind of hear the questions and hear them go through spring camp. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be quite a departure compared to what it's been in previous years.
LJ Martin announced today that he will be back at BYU in 2026. What impact does that have, if healthy, on BYU's chances in the Big 12 next year? How could that impact the Big 12 race?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I just saw that news as I was getting the phone call from you guys. So that is tremendous. I mean, that is so big for BYU, not just for, obviously from the running back position, but I think for what this program can do. I think that LJ Martin, for me, we'll have to sit down and look at who all is there. He's going to be on the short list to be a first-team All-America preseason running back for me. Like, he is one of the best in the country. You saw the way that he growed across the 2025 season, especially when he was able to get healthy. Like, he is just so big, so strong, so fast. He has breakaway ability. He's a pass catcher. Like, he is the sort of player that you can build an offense around. To be honest, like, I think that, certainly I'd probably ask him, like, man, are you sure you don't want to go to the NFL right now? I think that he is a very legitimate NFL back, but certainly BYU was able to make it worth his while to stay, and him staying in town I think is going to be huge. I mean, and the other thing, too, is that, obviously it's LJ Martin coming back, but also, I mean, again, they have guys coming back on offense as well. They have quarterback Bachmeier expected back. They have some interesting young receivers. They have an encouraging offensive line. Like, I think that LJ Martin coming back really helps set up that next generation of BYU football, and I expect him to I'm trying to make sure I'm not blanking on anybody, but he should be the best running back in the Big 12 and on the short list along with, I would say, Ahmad Hardy at Missouri for best in the country.
This is the Big 12 is such a wild conference. You never know what you're going to get, and the transfer portal has brought quite a bit of wildness. I mean, including a team like Arizona State who loses their quarterback and a guy that had carried them pretty darn far and, could see the grass or at least the money being greener everywhere else. And it's an interesting thing that all these teams are going through. If you were to handicap it right now, and Iowa State is just all Penn State now. And so if you were to handicap this thing early, who's got kind of a nod kind of to be a favorite in January right now of 2026 as we start to try to call what this thing looks like? All the lists we make, everything changes. This time last year we thought we had, a way to predict this one, and then the Jake Retzlaff news hit BYU, of course, in the middle of the summer, and you thought, well, they're going to be terrible, and then it turned out differently. I don't know what to expect with this conference, but what can you give us in terms of teams that you should look at and go, no, set your watch by those guys. They're going to still be good.
Well, hopefully we won't have a situation like that for a number of reasons. And the other, I will say, too, I didn't mention Kawan Lacey on running back. He's about to play tonight, so I should probably mention him, too. But to go back to the question, I don't want to just simplify it to this, but, the two teams that played for a Big 12 title this year, I think are the early favorites to play for it in 2026 as well. Texas Tech's going to look a lot different in 2026, obviously losing a lot of their defensive line, their star linebacker, Jacob Rodriguez. I think, though, that they're going to be a sort of a different look team with bringing in Brendan Sorsby in a really, really good offense. This is an offensive line that I think will take a step in sort of year two of this new iteration of Texas Tech. Sorsby gives you a lot as both a passer and a runner. I think that would have been very much helpful in that game against Oregon. They're going to be really good at receiver. We'll kind of see how they finish up. They've got, by the way, I mentioned LJ Martin's best running back in the Big 12, but they've got the best running back room in the Big 12 with Cam Dickey, Jacoby Williams, and also Quentin Joyner, who was supposed to be their number one back, who came over from USC last year. And then defensively, they put together a really good defensive line class. They're set to essentially add a great safety in Coy Parrish coming over from Minnesota. I think that they are still either one or two in the Big 12, with that other team being BYU for all the reasons that we mentioned before. Now, look, I mean, it's going to be a competitive year, but those to me right now are still the two best teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we were so enamored with Texas Tech after watching BYU play them twice and Utah play them. I expected them to be in the national championship game, but that didn't work out for them. And nobody knows Texas Tech better than you. What happened to Texas Tech in the college football playoff, and how much of an impact negatively does that have on the perception of the Big 12 among the rest of the country?
Well, I remember talking to one of my good buddies last year who's just a Texas Tech fan, who used to cover them a while back. And, at first I was kind of like, and this was before the David Bailey news, by the way, which I think kind of really changed everything. I kind of said, this feels like a lot of moves to raise the floor of Texas Tech. And I don't know how much is going to raise the ceiling. Now, I think that getting David Bailey really did change the ceiling argument, but I think that there were some legitimate concerns, with the offense, especially heading into the year. Now, Darren Morton had one of the worst games I've seen a quarterback in the Big 12 have in 2025. Unfortunately, at the worst time. I mean, he was just erratic. There's no way around that. This was an offensive line that I think improved, but was not elite necessarily. And I think you saw that pop up even in those BYU games, especially when they got into the red zone. I think that while their running game was, I think, really strong in the second half of the year, they didn't have necessarily a true difference maker at wide receiver either. Now, defensively, they were everything and more, and obviously they proved that against Oregon. But, this is a team in 2026. I expect them to, again, starting with the quarterback position with Brendan Sorsby, I think that they're going to be a little bit more dynamic, especially in the quarterback run game. I think that on the offensive line, again, I would make the case that the offensive line is actually, I don't even not make the case. I will tell you, the offensive line is the hardest position to portal. You cannot do that in 1 year. But there are multiple players from that portal class that are still going to be on campus in 2026, and I expect that they're going to take a very legitimate jump on the offensive line in year 2. So, yes, it definitely hurts perception of the Big 12. It definitely hurts perception of Texas Tech. But, I think that a big part of it, too, is that a lot of that game was about Oregon being really, really good, and Texas Tech is just going to need to continue building itself up. I mean, there's a lot of ways that Oregon is Texas Tech multiple years down the road with the way that they've invested since the start of NIL, especially. And now we're going to kind of have to see whether Texas Tech can create that next act for themselves.
Shehan, this semifinal that starts things up tonight between Miami and Ole Miss. Those are I've called them the two misfit teams in the playoff still, but we kind of like that. We like the idea if there's a version of an underdog in this how this thing is played out. It was these two teams likely not being the ones that people saw playing in this game together. But your thoughts on the first semifinal that starts up tonight down in Glendale, Arizona?
Yeah, fascinating game, as you can imagine. Ole Miss, a team that I really did not see having that extra gear. I think that Trinidad Chambliss has given it to them in a lot of ways, along with Kawan Lacey, the fantastic running back over there. And, I mean, again, there's so few teams left, in college football in some ways, that have a quarterback who can just take over a game the way that Trinidad Chambliss did in that Georgia game. Now the thing is they're going up against a Miami defensive line that is the best in the country. And I think that it's going to be fascinating to see, yes, are they able to get all the way to the quarterback? Because Akeem Mesidor especially is one of the best pass rushers in college football. But I think more important than that, are they able to contain? Because there's definitely a way where, if Miami over pursues and tries to get him down and misses, there's a lot of space available to Trinidad Chambliss to make stuff happen. I think they're going to have to play more fundamentally sound football against Ole Miss than even they had to do against Ohio State. So this is such a fascinating chess match. I'm also really curious to see. Ole Miss, it's not a secret, has been dealing with having only half of its staff for a lot of the past week. Does that become a factor heading into a game like this?
Shehan Jeyarajah, see his byline there, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. He does a phenomenal job covering it, and he shows up on all our shows across this station because we need all the Big 12 insights we can get, and Shehan does a great job of having all of it. So we appreciate it. We'll chat with you again, Shehan. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, I probably spend more time in Salt Lake City than just about anywhere in the country, so I appreciate you having me on as always.
Love it.
We love football here, Shehan.
Wouldn't have any other way. He does a phenomenal job.
I know it.
There you go. Have a great one. Thanks for being with us.
You too.
There you go. Yeah, Big 12 took a hit on that one. It's not just that they lose the game; it's the zero burger you put up on the screen.
It wasn't even competitive. I was stunned how uncompetitive they were offensively.
It was just
we
so
saw
wild.
that offense. I know. So you go back to the Utah game. It took them until the fourth quarter to really get going, but they got going.
Yeah.
And then both games against BYU, it was the first game against BYU, they had to settle for a lot of field goals, but just that felt like they were just a machine. I was shocked at how bad they didn't show up offensively against Oregon.
The weird thing is that of all the things that were great about that team, their weak link was probably Baron Morton.
No, there's no doubt.
I mean, we all looked at him and went,
when he went out of the Utah game, that's when
they got
changed.
good. Yeah.
Utah did a great job against him and banged him up, and I don't know. I was really disappointed in their performance, and where the Big 12 was saying we should have had two teams in. Well, one team got in and didn't do anything while they were there. So,
all right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more. We got a top 10 around the corner. And we've got tons to get to. We still have this Ole Miss and Miami game. They're both getting ready down there at the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. It's all set up for a nice one tonight. I want to see if these two teams will deliver. So we'll take that break. We'll come back right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Hearing this Kurt Cobain classic, I lamented something I saw AI give us over the weekend.
What did AI ruin now?
What's that Got Ye song? The Gottlieb, the Doug Gottlieb band. They sing, didn't have to cut me out. You know that whole, what are their names?
Gautier? The Doug Gottlieb band.
Got Ye? Whatever.
Gautier or
they're Swiss or whatever, Swedish, whatever.
Yeah.
So AI gave us this whole version of same style where they're all painted faces and everything, just like the old video. It starts with Freddie Mercury and a perfect version of it, and the same voice sounding of it, and the same video, and him singing. So him singing the song, Kurt Cobain singing the song with him. Like they're all kind of doing their own stanzas. Snoop Dogg was in it.
Snoop's not
Eminem,
dead.
I know, but
why's Snoop doing it?
Eminem was in it. He's not dead either. But then they brought up Amy Winehouse, and it felt so weird. And they had Kurt Cobain singing some part, and you're going, this sounds so weird with his voice on it. And he was so anti-mainstream anyway. Like everything that he did.
Sure,
he was.
Ironically. Sure he was.
Ironically, right, they get big and, But, yeah, I don't think that would be a song he would have been super on board with.
No.
I got a top 10 here for you, JJ, before you get to the break.
Okay.
By the way, Mitch Harper, our BYU insider for KSLSports.com, is going to join us.
Perfect timing for
next.
Mitch
Yes,
today.
got the LJ Martin news on the back of the hirings getting solidified as well. We'll talk about how one begets the other and how important that was. And I've got in front of me, now this is a subjective list, but I want you to give me, and you have to think pretty darn hard, but this is a list of the top unlikely college football national champions over the years. I've got 10 of them in front of me. You have to kind of do some mental gymnastics here. I'll give you a moment.
Okay.
Here we go, though. On your mark. Do we have the timer ready? Get set. Go.
BYU.
Ding.
Harvard. Princeton. TCU. Oregon State. Oregon.
No, are you talking about national championships?
Sure, I'm just throwing out names.
Oregon's never won one.
Cal. Stanford. Notre Dame. They haven't won since 88.
Yeah.
Oh, another unlikely one. Oh, man. Who else has won that's random? It wouldn't be Ole Miss, would it? No, not Mississippi State.
Although I would say,
how do you grade random though? Like teams that you'd never expect because they're not good now. I mean, Nebraska won a lot of national championships, but they stink now. Who's another crazy national champion that I'm not even going to guess here? UCLA.
Some of them are big names, by the way. They're just
Florida.
It's just the years they did.
Florida State.
Ding.
Oh,
Ding.
Okay.
Both of them.
Alabama. I'm out of time.
Alabama, the 1992 Gene Stallings.
Right. That was kind of random.
Natty was
so I did get that in the buzzer.
You did?
Nice. I did get that in there.
Florida State, Alabama. Now, the reason some of these are on the list is because, for example, so the 76 Pitt Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember them.
Tony Dorsett.
Mm-hmm. And it was their first top 10 finish of their program's history. Now, the 81 Clemson Tigers,
oh, yeah,
unranked to start the season, win the national championship. That's crazy.
Is Georgia Tech on that list?
Georgia Tech not on the list. I think they were really, really good, and that was the point, was that them and Colorado that year wasn't a shock that they won because they were so darn good. But, yeah, they're not teams that you generally would sign up for and go, oh, I like those guys. 1983 Miami Hurricanes. 2002 Ohio State Buckeyes, speaking of which, they won this.
That was an upset.
They won that Fiesta Bowl against this Miami team. Auburn in 2010, Oklahoma in 2000, and then the Ohio State Buckeyes in 54. I know you remember that
54, team. Yeah. That was a crazy team.
That was Woody Hayes' first championship. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got Mitch Harper. He's going to give us some thoughts on some of the things, the developments over the past 24 hours with this BYU team, who have now solidified that coaching staff. Plus, LJ Martin's coming back, and the other names that are running it back in 2026. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the show, everybody, as we're watching College Game Day and a special edition of the show of being able to watch Nick Saban. Wonder how it is that the SEC, their representative happens to be this team.
What's he whining and complaining about, I wonder? We don't have his volume on.
We don't have his volume on. I kind of prefer
so we can try
it
to
that
sit
way.
here and try to guess what he's whining about.
He's definitely grumpy about something, and he probably just gave the same vibe as that old lady. Get old Byrne out of here. Get Kalen DeBoer out of here. Let's get Alabama football back to being great again. I still think, look, Miami's got a phenomenal defense. They out-defense the best defense in the country. Yep. That game kicks off in about, I think they said the kickoff was officially going to be 5:44. So there you go. The double slide, of course. You would have seen it, of course, on the national semifinal. Mitch Harper, he's our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. He joins us on the program right now. Let's get going with the cut.
It's time to get the inside info on BYU with Cougar insider Mitch Harper of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. It happened during the first segment of our show. We were actually having the discussion, Mitch Harper, about LJ Martin, and we were all like, well, I'd go to the NFL. I mean, you got to jump in when you have the chance. And then at the same time, we all had the same discussion of, yeah, but you'll actually probably get paid more if you stay in college football these days. And then, certainly enough, in that first segment in our 3 o'clock hour, LJ Martin coming back. How shocked were you to see that news?
Not shocked at all. LJ Martin was leaning this way for some time, but it was just, kind of going over all the options for him and gathering as much information, but he runs it back. And I think also, too, the fact that he had surgery on his shoulder last month kind of, indicated a little bit that he was going to potentially come back, because when you're recovering from surgery, it's not the ideal time to navigate the combine, the NFL process. Whereas at BYU, if you need to take spring, LJ Martin, if you need to take that off, take it off. Be ready for the battles in the fall. And now he has the chance to really become the all-time best running back in BYU football history. You look at what LJ's accomplished, in 3 years, it's been all in the Big 12, 3-time leading rusher at BYU. He has a chance to do it 4 consecutive years. It's about 1,350 yards away from being the all-time leading rusher. This year, he had more than 1,300 yards. So LJ could put himself as the greatest to ever do it at BYU. And when you factor in strength of schedule, doing it in the Big 12, and what's going to be expected of this team trying to get to the playoff, massive return for BYU, and getting LJ Martin the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. It's a big-time addition for the Cougars.
LJ Martin was the biggest one, but you look at everybody else that's coming back, and it's crazy how good BYU is going to look on paper. We just talked to Shehan Jeyarajah, and he said that it looks like BYU and Texas Tech are probably the teams to beat in the Big 12 next year. How have they been able to retain all these guys? Because you look around everywhere else, and it just feels like, it's so many key players for so many different teams have jumped in the portal. How's BYU been able to avoid that?
A couple things. They like playing for Kalani Sitake. One, they talk so much every week during a season about the culture. Well, that's showing itself right now. And that's why it was so critical to retain Kalani Sitake when people were wondering, well, if should they let Kalani just go and hire Jay Hill? No, Kalani Sitake is BYU football. And you're seeing that with the amount of retention that he's getting back. And then also the enhanced NIL resources and BYU's commitment in rev share. It creates an opportunity where these guys are going to make some nice money. They're playing at BYU in a power conference. And yes, the Big 12 gets viewed as inferior to the Big 10 and SEC. I tend to sometimes disagree with that, but the level of commitment, BYU's looking to take another swing at this thing. And I think that plays a big role too. But, you see last night at the BYU basketball game, before the players take the court, they're all together and they're throwing down Pop-Tarts, eating. They just seem like they enjoy being around each other. And it's January and all the feel goods, everyone's locking into their new deals, getting ready for winter conditioning, which tends to be the toughest point of the calendar for these football teams. But I think it's a group that likes being, playing and building together, and they're retaining a lot. And I think there's a feeling of unfinished business. How the season ended in Arlington with Texas Tech. Yes, they got that Pop-Tarts Bowl win, but not getting the ultimate prize of the playoff and the Big 12 title. I think there's a lot of motivation for these guys to run it back as well from that standpoint.
Not a shock that Kelly Poppinga gets elevated. That's a guy who understands and has worked with Kalani, and he's got that defensive background of not just knowing this system, but also as a guy who grew up in that Bronco Mendenhall, those great defenses. That was one of his mentors. He also coached with him at UVA. So that move to be able to bring K-Pop in to elevate him to the DC, Sione Puha gets elevated to that associate head coach position. DeMario Warren gets hired. Where does that defense sit right now as the coaching changes and the coaching world with Jay Hill leaving being such a huge blow? Where does it sit right now, and where do you think BYU's defense could be next year?
Well, I think it's a solid hire, and I think that with having Kelly Poppinga, their first-time defensive coordinator, he's been a co-DC at Virginia. But I think what's nice about this hire is that there's guys like Gary Anderson as a senior analyst. You've got Sione Puha, you got Kalani Sitake, who's got a background as a defensive coordinator. So, and also Kelly Poppinga has been doing this now for almost 2 decades. Mm-hmm. He's been a coach in college football since 2009. So I think if there was ever a time to, just promote someone from within, this is probably the spot. But as we just talked about, with all the guys that are being retained, including a Falatau Satawala, which was almost as big of a retention piece as LJ Martin, when you consider it looked like on the surface, Jay Hill recruit, and he announces that day when Jay Hill's made official to Michigan, he's running it back at BYU. But so with higher expectations, you can't just, go back to being a middle of the road defense. You got to take it to a higher level. So it's a tricky spot for Kelly Poppinga, but I think he's embracing it. And with the resources and the personnel he's inheriting that are coming back, it's a good spot for him. And I think it's also a good spot for Sione Puha to get elevated as associate head coach. And DeMario Warren, I think he's got a lot of a similar track record as General Guilford, and he makes a lot of sense. Strong ties to the state of Utah and California, because losing General Guilford, he was an ace in Southern California. You want to maintain that. And I think DeMario Warren can help with that on the recruiting front. So I think it's a pretty solid staff so far for K-Pop and Kalani Sitake ultimately.
How important is the transfer portal now that they've got all these guys coming back? Where are they going to be looking as far as positions? What's the latest on the portal for BYU?
The portal is going to be, so far, it's been slow moving for BYU. They got an addition in Kyler Casper from the University of Oregon. He's been part of the Oregon program for 4 years and really hasn't played because he's dealt with multiple injuries, had back-to-back years with foot injuries this past 2 seasons in Eugene, but a big-bodied kind of compare him a little bit to like a Nick Kurtz early on in the Kalani Sitake tenure, 6'6", 215 pounds. I don't know if you say he steps on campus and becomes a starter right away, but I think, he brings competition. If he's healthy, he's a former top 150 recruit when he signed with Oregon back in the class of 2022. I look at the linebacker position, like who becomes the next Jack Kelly. You got Isaiah Glasker coming back. You've got Sialia Sarah back. You get Che Bryant Strother back as well. Very underrated guy. He was someone that was pushing Sialia Sarah last year for that inside linebacker spot in fall camp before he goes down with a season-ending injury. He's going to run it back next season as well. But I think they need someone else at that linebacker position. Cade Ula-Ave from, former Mountain Ridge product at Cal. He'd be someone that you kind of look at and say would make a lot of sense there. But BYU tends to go with players that they have, a previous relationship with or have some strong ties to when it comes to the portal. Roster retention is a huge deal for BYU, and they've hit that out of the park. And to your point, JJ, I think now if you just kind of pair it up with some strong portal additions, this could be a really impressive squad and maybe a team that you could be talking about maybe top 10 preseason AP ranking next year. And I think another spot too that they've got to attack in the portal is tight end. And you lose Carson Ryan. Outside of him, there wasn't much to write home about with that group as far as receiving piece goes. Walker Lyons is out there in the portal. So many connections to BYU. His brother, of course, left for a mission this week. He's expected to be back. Walker Lyons expected to be back in 2027. Walker Lyons has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He could have the chance to play with his brother at BYU if he did end up coming to BYU. So that's another area, position to watch in the portal activity for BYU.
Bear Bachmeier, of course, also in that conversation of people who are sticking around, and he's a guy that everybody is tickled to be able to have for a long-term situation. But how complicated is the quarterback room next year, and how complicated does it get over the next 2 or 3 seasons? Obviously, the Ryder Lyons situation and whatever it might be, you wonder what guys you're going to be able to get in. You have guys transferring out of that quarterback room. What's it going to look like next year?
You've got 3 guys next season. You got Bear atop that depth chart, obviously. And, Trayson Bourget has kind of been almost like a journeyman, you could say. Once a Western Michigan starter, been part of the BYU program the past 2 years. He's not in the portal as of now. So you would think that he's going to be someone that maybe closes out his college career as a senior next year, potentially at BYU. And then you bring in Enoch Watson, who was part of bowl practices, former American Leadership Academy prospect down in Arizona, coached by Ty Detmer and Max Hall. I got the chance to see Enoch during, the fall semester. He returned to campus and really impressive athlete. I mean, great arm talent is Enoch Watson. BYU has no shortage of talented quarterbacks, and that's a good thing. I mean, Kalani Sitake talked years ago about how he wants to rebuild the quarterback factory at BYU. I kind of feel like with what they've been doing the last really since Zach Wilson, it has been a bit of a factory for BYU, and whoever's there and the competition is going to be great after 2026. You just keep the machine going. And when Ryder Lyons arrives, he joins the mix. Like it's a good situation to be in for BYU, but Bear Bachmeier returning is a big deal. I almost kind of thought that his announcement of running it back was kind of anticlimactic just because does he really need to announce that he's only a sophomore? He's not dealing with NFL decisions like LJ Martin, but I get it. People think everyone is just basically going into the portal in this day and age. So he probably wants to just tell everyone, hey, I'm coming back. Please stop asking me if I'm coming back. And Bear's got a chance to, I'm curious to see what growth he makes in his BYU career in games where LJ was absent, the Iowa State game, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. He goes off for 300 in the air in each of those games. And then when he's healthy, he can run the football like he's a legit RB2 in the backfield. So Bear's a unique talent. I'm curious to see what growth he makes with a full offseason too. Last year he arrived in June. Let's see what he can become with being part of the, BYU program from winter conditioning all the way to the start of the season.
The only key starter that we haven't heard post something on social media, I'm all in or I'm back, is Evan Johnson. What are you hearing there?
Yeah, Evan Johnson is going to be someone to really kind of monitor, because I think he's important. He was someone that was, as a recruit, just an under the radar 2-star, maybe even a not rated prospect coming out of California. And, Gerald Guilford identified him. He was a 10-4 100-meter guy coming out of Pebble Beach, California. And he's evolved as, I think, one of the better cornerbacks in the Big 12, 5 interceptions this season. It would make a lot of sense if, Gerald Guilford wanted him at Michigan for Johnson to go. I saw today that, BYU TV was reporting that Kelly Papinga told them today that he's expecting Evan Johnson to be back. So we'll see, though. I mean, because there's still 8 days in this portal window. No formal announcement. I didn't see him with the team last night at the Marriott Center. That was a group of players that were pretty much making it official. They were running it back for the 2026 season, paired with some other seniors who just wrapped up their eligibility. But Evan Johnson would be huge. I think with the cornerback position, though, with BYU, they do bring back Trey Alexander, who was a guy that was recruited, heavily by Kelly Papinga. So no surprise that he was one of the early run it back announcements for BYU. But you've also got, Jonathan Cabella, a nickelback who's coming back. Cannon DeVries is going to be one to watch, a local kid, Weber High School. Jordan Chris, Justice Braithwaite, a true freshman. But that's a spot, too, where probably be well served to get another cornerback or two in there from the portal. But, yes, Evan Johnson is one that's a top priority to retain his services, because he's become a really elite cornerback for BYU in that secondary.
Not often you get to talk about a top 10 basketball team here in the state of Utah, and BYU's been hanging around that number all season long, and the number 9 Cougs yesterday absolutely putting a thumping on Danny Hurley's or Bobby Hurley. Yeah, it's Bobby Hurley, right? Yeah, yep. Bobby Hurley's ASU Sun Devils, and it was embarrassing for them. But 81 points between Richie Saunders, Rob Wright III, and A.J. DeBonsa. Where is this team right now? Is there a couple games into league play?
They've gotten a lot better in Big 12 play. When they closed out now in conference, they were having issues with slow starts, regardless of the opponent, whether it was Delaware, Eastern Washington, or, Clemson. It didn't matter. They were always starting slow. In Big 12 play, they've kind of erased that so far. And it's been a little bit of a light schedule to open up Big 12 play. I think they faced 2 teams in Kansas State and Arizona State that I would expect are probably going to be in the bottom 6 spots in the deepest conference in America. And these are 2 talented teams still that you beat. I mean, there were guys on that Arizona State team, 7'1", 6'11", 6'10", huge front court, and you didn't have Keba Keita, and you still just completely dominated that team. This is a great BYU team. And it's kind of surprising, too, how despite being in the top 10 from the preseason poll to now, people are still kind of just sleeping on this BYU team. And I'm sure Kevin Young and this squad like that. It's not like football where you need to almost win the perception battle. We see the daily metrics. BYU is in the thick of everything that they want to accomplish this season. But I think what's been impressive is that this big 3 of sorts with AJ and Rob Wright and Richie Saunders, they can just dominate games and completely outscore an opponent. I think what's been impressive, too, is that the 3-point shot, when it's falling like it did last night, they knocked down 45% of their threes for only the 4th time this season. When they are hitting shots like that at a high clip, they are almost going to be unstoppable, even in this conference, which is outstanding. So this is a really good team. And I think BYU is underrated defensively as well, with the addition of Bidu Ahmed from the G League ranks. It's a good squad. And I just think they're only getting better as the season goes along. Whereas, and it's just going to be fun to watch, see how this develops in the toughest league in America.
Yeah, they have a big 3 that would rival any in the country. And my question about BYU is, do they have enough depth to finally break through and get to that Final Four? How is that developing right now?
The front court, it feels like because of Abdullah Bidu Ahmed, they call him Bidu on the team, his nickname. But the addition of him feels like the front court is in a great position. Now, the guard line, that's still – I don't know if you have anyone that you can consistently count on that bench. But the front court, though, with Ahmed there, because you still have Hadim Boop, who's a redshirt freshman, who's given some nice contributions off the bench, and it was a second 5-man yesterday in the win over Arizona State. I think BYU feels pretty good about that front court. It's the other spots. If you got to make sure Rob Wright, AJ, Richie stay healthy, because the second unit to try to replace those guys, that's a big drop off. But after Keita, you feel really good about where BYU's at in the front court there. So that's still a little bit of a to be determined as the level of competition continues to increase when you get kind of into the heart of Big 12 play.
Mitch Harper, he's our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. Mitch, quick prediction on this Ole Miss Miami game, this semifinal that's playing on a Thursday. Of course, they don't want to get in the way of the NFL on the weekend because we know who's king. But this is kind of a fun one between two teams we didn't think would be here.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I'm going with the Hurricanes, Miami. I'll go with them. I mean, once I had them number one in the country in the Football Writers Association poll that I'm part of, I've believed in their talent, but I kind of faded them after they lost to SMU, but they're bouncing back. That defense how they played against Ohio State defensively, I think if that shows up again, they'll crush Ole Miss if that defense plays the way they did against Ohio State. So I'm going to go with the U.
Mitch, thanks for being with us, man. We'll talk with you again. As always, thanks for being a part of this show. We love having you on.
You bet. Guys, take care.
Thanks, Mitch.
Nobody better than Mitch Harper covering this team in this market. Yeah, so it's all good news today. I was talking to somebody. They go, "Oh,
it's
man,
great to be a Cougar right now."
Well,
my goodness.
I was talking to somebody today, and they're like, "Oh man, you guys must be super busy this time of year." I go, "Actually, yeah, I guess, but there are no games being played. The busy part is just all the bull crap going on behind the scenes, and that's what it is too, by the way. And we pretend like I say pretend, we get into it, and we get excited about the developments off the field, but like." Good news is we got a couple days of games at least, and like I said, the NFL's wildcard weekend is going to bail us all out of.
I can't wait.
Some garbage that we're going to get the rest of the way here. So I don't know. We'll see. Take a break. Appreciate Mitch joining us. We'll come back. We have more around the corner. We've got our NFL Blitz. We've got also tons going on because guess what? Jazz are at home tonight, so we'll get you up to date, of course, as they make a quick turnaround and make the trip back to Delta Center to get things kicked off tonight. So the Mavericks are in town. Is what's his name available? Cooper Flag. You got to listen. If you're on the injury report as a rookie and it says rest beside your name,
I'll tell you which rookie's not available.
Ace Bailey's still out.
He's going to be out tonight.
Yeah, I mean, last night he was available, and then we were like, oh, a nice 10 minutes, 2 points. He really wasn't available. But, hey, Walt Clay Jr. had a nice game. We'll talk about that and much more. Stay here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the offseason. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Is Parker air guitaring in there? Is that what's going on?
He should be.
Nice. You and JJ should get together in your air guitar group.
There's
nobody else. I know nobody else air guitars more than JJ. Parker comes in and goes, hold on.
Sports Zone air guitar band.
But see, you are kind of more of a air bass guy. Lead guitar, Parker. Boom.
I'm on video
Are
right
you
now.
a game for it? Could you do it? I don't know if you could pull it off. I don't know if you're talented enough to pull off the fake guitar, man.
Slapping the bass.
See? I'm telling you. Welcome back to the program. Oh, we got some breaking news in the college football world. Let's jump in right here from the transfer portal desk. JJ's got some news. I told him, don't tell me. I like to get it just along with everybody else. What do we have coming off of the college football breaking news desk?
We have two local athletes have made their transfer portal decision. The first one, a shocker. Former Utah All-American John Henry Daly is committed to Michigan.
What?
I know, right? Of all places, how'd he land there?
Man, it's going to be
Pretty
awesome.
wild.
But he's not playing in 2026, right? It's going to have to be a 2027 deal.
He says he will be back. I'll be shocked. Coming back from, and we're assuming is a serious
Cam
Achilles
rising
injury.
back. Oh.
Hey, John Henry Daly says he'll be ready to go in 2026, so good luck to him.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess in like December, maybe. When did he get hurt? It was the second to last game of the season.
It was Kansas State,
right?
early in the Kansas State game.
So, that's not a...
I would be shocked if he's back by the camp.
If I'm him, I don't want to get back quick.
He doesn't need to. He's proven. He's an All-American.
So
if he can get back in September next year, their non-conference schedule is always going to be light.
There's no way, man. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. That's 9-10 months.
Yeah, not a doctor. I don't
10
know.
months, 11
Isn't it funny
months?
that now the 9-month deal is everyone's like, well, you should get back at 9 months. It's like Achilles is devastating, man.
If
That's
he does the work, I know. It's hard to believe. And he's a bigger guy, obviously. You'd think that could impact things. So I don't know.
University of Michigan's got a good medical school. Somebody could figure it out for him. Come on.
That wasn't the only guy that's in the transfer.
Tell me who else. I love it. Bring it on.
Do we need to play the music again?
Nah, I mean, sure.
Why not?
We've got it.
Yeah, there we go.
I just lament that there's no guitar in it to watch you and Parker go off, man. Just that you guys are so talented together.
What instruments are being played in this music? You're a band guy. What are we hearing there?
I think there's some timpani in there. Is that trumpet? Yeah, some fake trumpet. Yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, nice arrangement. Former BYU and Utah State quarterback McKay Hillstead has made his transfer portal decision.
Where is he headed?
He's going back to Logan.
Hey, now, there you go.
McKay Hillstead is committed to Utah State. He's going back to the Aggies.
Throw away all that creamery ice cream you had in your freezer, McKay. Head back up there and start getting that Aggie light blue mint ice cream, man.
He missed it.
Going. Isn't that funny? Like the era that we're in now of I'm coming back to that other place, you know? And what a weird thing, you know? He left, he went to BYU, and the thought was, and I'm telling you, when Jake Retzlaff announced that he had to be gone, he called up mom and dad, I bet, and went, this is my shot.
Oh, if Vegas had odds on who was going to be the BYU starting quarterback this year, McKay Hillstead would have had the best odds.
So...
But I will say this, I think I get McKay Hillstead's choice to initially leave Utah State. I understood it because, remember, he's a Utah County guy. He grew up in the shadow of BYU, and the chance to go to BYU and the opportunity to go to BYU and try to win that starting job would have been a dream come true for him. But I think after it didn't work out, he's like, you know what? I had a really good situation up at Utah State. I'd love to go back, and I think that he'd be a great fit up there. It's going to be really interesting to see who wins the starting quarterback job at Utah State next year, who they maybe other players they bring in the portal, what that competition looks like, because I think they're building something up there. And Pac-12 play starts for the Aggies next year with this new, shiny Pac-12 that they've put together. The quality of football in that league is going to be better than the Mountain West. I'm really curious to see, A, who their quarterback is going to be at Utah State next year, and what leap does Bronco Mendenhall's Aggies take in year 2? And I expect there to be a leap.
This one also just came down the pipe as well. Looks like Utah's going to get their quarterback coach figured out. Utah set to hire veteran quarterback coach Ryan Gunderson as the new quarterbacks coach coming in from Oregon State. He's previously coached at UCLA and San Jose as well. That's according to Pete Thamel, so good source there. He was the OC, by the way, at Oregon State the last couple of years.
It's a good hire. That's a great hire.
I wouldn't have put that down on the resume.
So Morgan Scalley, a little quiet hire there, but a very, very solid hire to bring in somebody with that kind of resume to be your quarterback coach. I like Morgan's staff. I think Morgan's done a terrific job building that.
All right, let's get to the Jazz now. Awesome game for this Utah Jazz team last night. That's about as well as it can go to force the defending champs into overtime. Have a shot of winning that game. You heard Will Hardy on the way in say, look, I'm so proud of these guys. If they compete like that against teams, including the best team in the league right now, although they're playing kind of poorly, I mean, how they've been playing, it hasn't been phenomenal.
That's fair. The Thunder, if the Thunder are having a struggle, that's what they're going through.
They're trying to figure themselves out a little bit.
If that team can struggle at all, they are.
Yeah. So, but SGA goes for 47. And if you told me, hey, SGA has 47 against the Jazz at home this week, what do you think the score was? You'd have said, yeah, probably like 113-90.
Yeah.
You know? Instead, they fight this thing out to the end, and it's like automatic now, JJ. 29 from Lowry, 25 from Key. How about Walt Clayton Jr. coming off the bench with 15 points? And so they're getting as consistent a play out of their best players as they've gotten all season long, and they're doing it against really, really good teams now. And you walk away with a loss there. You pointed out in our show prep, you're like, man, they're playing so well, and yet they're like, what is it, 4-11 in their last 15 or something like that?
They've lost 8 of 10. They've lost 5 in a row.
But like that, it doesn't feel like lost 5 in a row.
No,
right?
because you're seeing improvement overall from the team. You're seeing Keontae George play at a star level. You're seeing Larry Markkinen looking like he's going to be an all-star. You're seeing some of these young guys like Walt Clayton having moments. It's been tough to see Ace Bailey out. This is a moment in time where you want to see Ace Bailey having these kind of nights where he wows us and shows us what the future looks like. There's a lot of guys that have really stepped up and are playing. Bryce Sensabaugh, that dunk last night, nasty. Like, I didn't know he had that in him, but he's been showing that recently. So many developments with this team and some of these young guys developing. So if you're a Jazz fan, it's the best of both worlds right now because it's clear this team is getting better. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can see Keontae George emerging as a star. You see a lot of these young guys showing growth. They have some vets that if they need to, they can move it before the deadline to find some more assets or to create some space to do whatever. They got a ton of cap space in the summertime. But the thing that everyone's worried about is, well, they're going to win so much that they're not going to be able to be in the lottery. Well, at this point, they're right back in that mix. They have the 6th worst record in the NBA right now. They've been jumped by the Hornets, Clippers, and Mavericks. So during the stretch of 8 of the last 10 losing, despite playing good basketball, the Jazz are in that bottom 6, and the Nets are hot on their heels. By the way, the Nets, Michael Porter Jr. has been amazing, and Yegor Demon is on fire right now.
Isn't that wild?
Yegor is having an outstanding
Good
rookie season. He looks great with the Nets. So the Nets are only technically the Nets and the Jazz are tied in the standings. So the Jazz are almost at the bottom 5, and now the Washington Wizards get Trae Young in that trade. The Wizards are going to start winning some games. So for fans that are worried about this lottery situation, it's all working itself out. The Jazz will be bottom 4 in the league before you know it.
I saw the great – I love that. I love that attitude. And look, they're going to be fighting for the bottom of the league in no time.
Don't worry.
Gosh dang it. I was watching all this thing go down, which, by the way, Eli Manning on the field.
Ray Lewis
for Miami.
Coin flip. Pretty cool.
That's
Edgerrin James.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's pretty sweet.
So what color blue is that? And by the way, Ole Miss wearing the alternates is interesting, right? But is that a robin egg blue? What do we call that? Just like a sky blue? I don't know what we call powder blue. It seems like it's a little too dark for powder blue, but
it is powder blue. That's their powder blue alternates. They typically wear navy and red.
Yeah.
That is their powder blue alternate.
I like it. It's a good look.
It looks sharp. It is a nice look.
Eli on hand. That's nice.
All right, you can't beat the classic Miami look. Got to be honest.
By the way, I know. And think about that's a color scheme you wouldn't imagine working.
Orange and green.
Bright orange. It's not even green. It's like that evergreen.
It only works in Miami.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in
anywhere else on the planet. No. Who is it that it's like? Oh yeah, Florida A&M rolls out the Rattlers, and you're like, ooh,
nah, gross. Miami wears it. Classic.
I know. All right, we'll take a break. Jazz and Mavericks tonight over at Delta Center. We'll get you ready for that one next. Pregame starting up at 6 o'clock. Stay here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Man, second play of the game, one of Miami's defensive linemen.
That's not good.
Oh, boy. Achilles, maybe?
Yeah, that's
honestly.
like. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Second play of the game.
That's too bad.
Man, you get ready for this thing, and then you don't just have something end. You have, we'll see, he's walking off actually pretty.
He's pulling a Kobe. He's going to go shoot the free throw.
Well, he's walking off the field.
He's in not in good shape, though.
Okay, all right. That's what I said about me. Boy, he's not in good shape.
It's been said about me as well.
It has nothing to do with
But it had nothing to do with an Achilles injury.
All right. Utah Jazz facing off against the Dallas Mavericks tonight over here at Delta Center. Looks like Nurk is going to be out. Looks like Ace Bailey's going to be out. So there's your update from the guys who we've been wondering exactly what the deal is going to be. But I don't know what Nurk's long-term situation is. Ace is kind of like close, obviously, because they had him play last night. We only played 10 minutes, but Where's this
I think
Jazz
it's the
team?
second out of back-to-back, so they're probably being very cautious with Ace.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, but what happens tonight here at Delta Center? The Mavericks coming to town. Last time they played, it was like 170 to 171.
It was a great game.
Awesome
Cooper
game.
Flagg was the story, and everyone around the country was talking about Cooper Flagg because he scored like
40. Yeah.
But it was Keontae George that was the actual better player on the court, and the Jazz won the game. So I love the matchup. We'll see what happens this time around. I hope it's as exciting as the first one. The Jazz right now are playing good basketball. They pushed the Thunder to the brink yesterday. I thought that the Jazz were going to get blown out like crazy because the Thunder were disappointed over the way they played the previous game at home, and the Thunder are a little down right now, which is weird for them. But the Jazz really responded well and fought and pushed it to the very end. I kind of like the Jazz chances tonight against the Dallas Mavericks team that has been very inconsistent this year.
There are moments where you have like years with this Jazz team. This is one of those years where you go, okay, this is not going to be a phenomenal year from a wins-losses perspective, but you find out a lot about who these young guys are. Walt Clayton Jr. comes in and has a nice game last night, and I was like, that guy is just – there have been moments this year he's been one of the more solid guys to come in, and you think about all the people they've been just giving so many chances to. I'm looking at Cody Williams, and you just go, hey, when are you going to develop? And then Walt Clayton Jr. comes in and just shows this like stability when he comes into these games. Is he one of those nice stories for now, and you don't see him on this team in the future, or does he have a place with this team?
Oh, yeah. First-round pick, by the way, so he's got a guaranteed contract. Yeah. Who was the best player in the NCAA tournament last year? Yeah. And it wasn't even close. It was Walt Clayton Jr. in the Florida
tournament MVP.
Gators won the national championship. And then he came into the preseason for the Jazz, and he looked exactly like that guy. And then this season, obviously your rookie year, there's ups and downs, there's highs and lows. But when given the opportunity, he's been pretty solid. He had that incredible dunk last week that went viral. And then last night played really good. Right now he's going through a stretch where he's playing high-level basketball. And I think Walt Clayton, what's his place, what's his role with Keontae kind of solidifying that point guard spot? I don't know, but I feel like he's definitely a part of their future and somebody who's going to continue to get better. Obviously, he's a little bit older. Like you mentioned, Cody Williams. Walt Clayton's older than Cody Williams. So you judge Cody Williams differently because he got to the league earlier, but Walter Clayton's more experienced, played in bigger games, bigger opportunities, been in a leadership position. So you should expect more from Walt Clayton Jr., and he's delivering that with the Jazz. He's been impressive, and he's absolutely a part of their future.
Quick best worst, kind of we'll wrap it into one thing here. Mike McDaniels loses his gig, just like we predicted. Is that a move?
I was surprised it didn't happen during the season.
Is that a pre-move to just be like, please, John Harbaugh, join our staff?
Wasn't he? Please. They were one of the teams that were talking to Harbaugh before they actually officially fired McDaniel.
Right.
So where does John Harbaugh want to coach? Does he want to coach in Miami or New York? He's got his pick.
Jim Harbaugh is like, I hope he goes to the NFC. Which, fine. I think it's great. But Mike McDaniel got the
that started good. He turned things around, had the offense going, and Tua had that big year before the contract, but it did not end well. The Dolphins were not good.
Jazz Mavericks coming up right now. Your pregame firing up right here on 97.5 BKSL Sports Zone. We'll see you next time, everybody.